Shooby-dooby-doo-up-doo, ba-doo-da-ba-da, ba-da-da-ba-ba-doo-da. Shooby-dooby-doo-up-ba, ba-da-da-ba-da, ba-da-da-ba-ba-da, ba-ba-doo-da.
Well, welcome to another Nothing But Static video. We're going to talk about a news topic. We're going to talk about the ending of this year's...
So, the news generally suggests that the information is new, but...
That's a good point,
actually. I mean, it's news in the sense of at one point this was information that was new, but it's just something we've not had a chance to talk about in the podcast itself because it's not really fallen into any of the topics we've handled recently. Yeah. So we thought we'd make a little video about it.
Yeah.
So this is interesting because for years I've been watching a show called Once Upon a Time, and now every year this show starts up again. And I get quite excited about it, and what I then do is turn to Chris and say, you really should give it a chance. Like, it's exactly the sort of show Chris would like. It's written by a lot of the guys who used to write on Lost. It's a show that's a show that Chris loves. So there's a similar flashback structure as Lost does. Something else that Chris is quite fond of.
2 ticks.
It's got some pretty neat love stories in it again, and it's based on sort of a famous fairy tale. So what's happened is, Once Upon a Time has introduced, in the finale of this season, teasing for next season, Elsa from Frozen, which is an exciting join to the cast and a potentially great marketing opportunity for them. Explain yourself. Why never did you check it out, despite all my recommendations? Why was it, a character from a kids' movie I like is going to go in it, now I want to watch?
6 words. Let it go. Let it go.
Oh, that's 6 now.
Yeah. I thought it through. The show's always been interesting. I mean, when you described the concepts and stuff, it's always seemed interesting. But no, there's not been anything to necessarily grab me. But I just thought this was genius.
But do you not think the 9 reasons I listed before mentioning?
Yeah, but I've seen Frozen recently, and I quite enjoyed it. I don't really give a fuck what they do with Robin Hood. Like, I wasn't big on... So what... Yeah. But, the fairy tale thing isn't necessarily something... While I'm aware of those stories, there's nothing... I can barely remember what they did with the original Robin Hood. So I'm not necessarily going to be intrigued by what they do with the new version. Although it has got a cast that I like. I'll admit that. And so when this Elsa thing came out, part of the reason it fascinates me is because it's such a clever idea.
Yeah.
It's such a huge idea. Mm-hmm. I can't remember a film being spoken about as much as this one being talked about and resonating with people.
No, it definitely had an impact.
This film's been huge.
Sure. Yeah.
So the idea of incorporating it into the show is so clever, and I just thought from a behind the scenes perspective, it's such an interesting concept and idea that made me want to watch it on the screen.
Yeah, so now Chris actually has an interest in the show I've been recommending for 3 years.
And I might try and catch up. If only characters from Frozen would appear in other shows. Like 24, the snowman pops up.
Fuck the
if you ring me
that
up,
guy that's a bit pervy about his reindeer.
If you rang me up and if you rang me up and like the pervy guy about his reindeer is in 24 Live Another Day, I'd be like, right, I'm taking some time off work, I'm catching up. And I'd check it out. He was a bit pervy about his reindeer.
That was a weird relationship.
Build a snowman. They're making a sequel, aren't they? I think.
Yeah, they would be stupid not to.
Yeah.
The reason that I am into this idea is because it's the same way that when they introduce a new character, it opens up a whole new world. It's a show that can completely reinvigorate itself every year, half a year. Like this season just gone, the 3rd season, in the opening half they introduced Peter Pan and the whole Netherlands story, and it opened up a crazy 12-episode arc about Netherland and the backstory of that, which is fascinating. And then of course the second half of the season they introduced the Wicked Witch from The Wizard of Oz, and it became a 12-episode arc about her and her backstory and Oz and all that and how that works, and like the ability to just go, okay, now we're just telling stories from this other universe.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It is ridiculous. They've got a format that can just go and go and go, and it never feels not fresh. So if they'd ended this season revealing that the Wicked Witch hadn't quite been vanquished, I'd have been bored by that.
Right,
I've seen 12 episodes of the Wicked Witch now. She's a good villain. I enjoyed her. And I'll tell you what else as well is the choice of Elsa as well, specifically, because the show has very much been about people's perception of villains and who is a villain Do they have their own motives? What are they? When you know more about them, do you become more sympathetic to them? These are themes that show deals with all the time.
Right.
But I would say Frozen is right in line with that. Frozen's all about a person that's perceived to be the villain. I mean, okay, the story Frozen is based on.
But they're going to twist her, which in itself as well is because I won't be the only one watching for that.
No, you won't.
But I will catch up first. And
you'll catch up first, and I think you will learn. You will learn to love the show for it. The show.
I just wish you'd told me about it. But you right?
Just mugging at the camera.
But the fact that they're going to put a twist on a character that's only come into existence last year. That is because people might react to that.
Well, I tell you what it was. What got me about that because you've got a character that you've introduced that's. All the characters they've introduced so far have a mythology behind them that you can twist in a way that it's so far. The thing happened so long ago that twisting it feels like, oh, this is just the modern take on it. But what do you call this? It's not the modern take on Elsa because Elsa is the modern take on Elsa.
It's the Once Upon a Time take on Elsa.
Exactly, it's interesting. So,
but there'd be Frozen fans that won't like.
But the effect is the same. You're taking a thing that exists that people know and have expectations about, and you're flipping them to your benefit to create drama or to create interest or to create something new that pulls people in. And I think it will be just as successful. I don't think Frozen fans are going to be disappointed with what they do because what always happens is no matter how much they twist, always true to the source material in the deeper sense, in the character sense, in the you know what I mean. Captain Hook is still Captain, even though in Once Upon a Time Once Upon a Time's Twisted World, Captain Hook is sort of a good guy. He's still an anti-hero. He's still Captain Hook. He's still a bit villainous. He's still a pirate. You know, they kept the heart of the character.
What Disney characters do you want to see them do?
Ooh, that's a good question. You've caught me out there.
I'd probably the bugs from A Bug's Life. I just want to see big bugs.
Aladdin. I'd like Aladdin.
Yeah, Aladdin.
They've done Jafar through Wonderland. Once Upon a Time Wonderland. Jafar showed up in that show quite a lot. He was one of the main villains. In fact, arguably he was the main villain. So they've established the existence of Agrabah in this world and that place. So I would like to see that. I'd like to see Aladdin most.
Because the bugs from A Bug's Life isn't a serious answer. I want to see the dad from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. just come in and
Rick Moranis.
Just Rick Moranis. Get him out of retirement. Wouldn't it be great?
Shrink everyone.
Rick Moranis. See, as well as Elsa coming in, if they'd have said, if at the end of the year they'd have announced that Rick Moranis was coming out of retirement for Series 4 of Once Upon a Time, that too would have got me hooked. Rick Moranis, he's coming in.
Okay, take Elsa out of the equation. Take Elsa out of the equation.
Shrinking stuff all over the place.
Take Elsa out of the equation.
Yeah.
The reveal at the end of the episode was that it was Rick Moranis with his shrinking machine. Were you in?
Oh, I'm in. Are you not in?
No, I would be too. I love that. I love those movies. I love those movies.
Wicked West, she's, sitting on a giant cookie and stuff. Those movies were great. Did you see Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Well, that was alright. Look up the trailer.
I know that. I've seen the movie.
No, I'm telling people at large.
Yeah, there are other people witnessing this. Okay.
So yeah, check out Once Upon a Time. I'm gonna let you know how my process of catching up on that is going.
Yeah, I think, and it'll be just as successful as his catching up on 24, which in
4 episodes.
Which in 2 months he's watched 4 episodes, so that's 1 episode every 2 weeks. So at that rate, he'll be ready to watch Elsa and Frozen 2019. So come back then. In fact, I'd subscribe now. So you're ready? Straight up when we do that video. Or Frozen, which I do. Frozen's a great movie and Elsa's a good character.
Do you want to build a snowman?
Not that one.
Let it go.
That's better. For
Do
me,
you own that? Is that on your iTunes?
No. I don't need to be on my iTunes. I can just turn on my internet browser,
That's true.
and without pressing a button, it will just feed various versions of Let It Go into my brain directly.
It's on my iTunes, and sometimes I listen to it on my iPod quite loudly, and then I realise that people are like glancing weird looks at me. So I'm just walking down the road. You want to build a snowman?